Hi, I'm Graham and welcome to this first video in the series of the cupboard under the saw. Well, alright, more of a cabinet under the saw. And it's not a cabinet yet, it will be. That's what the video is about. I'm going to make a cabinet under the saw. So I've got a couple of constraints that I've got to work within. Number one, I need to support these rails. Number two, I've got to accommodate the dust extraction from the saw. And number three, I've got to make sure I allow for these supports that are keeping the extension table in place. So I've only got this much space to deal with. This cabinet won't go back any further, and there's no point really going much further this way than about here. I've one more consideration to take into account, and that consideration is that I need to support this gargantuan pillar that in turn supports the arm that holds my overhead crown guard in place. Now this beast was, if you remember, on my previous saw, located about here, and it was sat on top of a 28mm thick piece of MDF, which wasn't substantial enough. It was starting to buckle. So what I'm thinking is of trying to incorporate this into the design of the cabinet or cupboard. So this is the assembly that came with the overhead crown guard originally. I didn't use the first time because I couldn't see how I could. But I'm wondering this time whether I essentially make the cabinet smaller, and if I could bolt this to the side of the cabinet, may give it the extra stability that it needs, and job could be a bobby. So I thought, as you've just seen, I'd make this little block here on the wall as a temporary support for the rail, and then it occurred to me that that's the perfect permanent support for the rail, I believe. So I'll make something a little bit more elegant for that by the end of the vid or the series, one of the two. So there's adjustable rubber foot at the base here, and then this solid iron steel column and this solid cross piece. It's very precariously balanced at the moment, but it's in, I believe, the perfect position. So what I'm going to do is make a timber frame up that's going to sit in here, and I'll tap and screw the metal so I can bolt into it, and then bolt that to the floor, and then that'll stop any of that motion that happens. And then when I make the cabinet, that'll stop it tipping that way when I swing the head around. Sounds like a plan. Let's crack on. That'll do nicely. reinforcing frame done, onto the cabinet. My detailed drawing for the cabinet is as follows. I've got an 800mm deep space, 730mm wide to take me to the underside of the steel table supports, and I can allow myself 550mm width. So, two sides, 800 by 730, one back panel, 550 by 730, and then with what's left of this sheet, I'll cut some, maybe a top brace to go there, possibly one at the back, and then something along the floor. So enough chat, let's cut. It'll come as no surprise to you that I've decided to use dominoes to hold my cabinet together, because I think they're superb, and I've got the domino tool, so I might as well use it. I'm laying out the dominoes at 50mm up from the bottom and then at 150mm intervals, so that my cabinet will be extremely strong. So I've cut a piece of waste poplar, would you believe, that I'm going to screw on the outside. On the other side of the cabinet, I'm going to screw the piece of wood to the floor because it's easier for me to access the outside of the cabinet and drill into this piece of wood once the cabinet's in place. Before I slid the cabinet into place, I took the opportunity to screw some ply to the back of this frame, both for extra rigidity, but also it's quite a cute, handy little storage area there, you know, for some clamps, pencils, cheese sandwich. And now the bit I've been looking forward to and dreading. Will it work? Will it be stable enough? Will it line up? Is my hair too long? Have I got spinach on my teeth? My God in heaven. Whew. Well, that's part one of my evil plan complete. I've managed to reinstall my overhead crown guard, and it's far more substantial than version 1 was. This idea is absolutely superb, solid as a rock. Screwed in that way, screwed in that way, the cabinet screwed to the floor, beautiful. I've altered my dust extraction, got that nice and tight up against the saw now. I also installed this little shelf here to support my right-angled fixture that goes on the new sliding table saw. So that's nicely out the way. That was a bit of a concern earlier. I've got a place here, storage for my blades. So my next job is obviously on to the drawers. This time I want the drawers a little less general purpose and better suited to the items that I specifically want to hold that aid me in my usage of my beautiful new table saw. So I need to put a modicum of thought into the design of the drawers before I set to and carve up another sheet of ply. Part 2. I'll leave you with an improved and slightly more aesthetically pleasing bracket to support the end of my rail. Thanks for watching and see you in part 2. Ta-ra.